You're listening to the podcast of Iris Josephina. If you're passionate about exploring the menstrual cycle, cyclical living, body wisdom, personal growth, spirituality, and running a business in alignment with your natural cycles, you're in the right place. I'm Iris. I'm an entrepreneur, functional hormone specialist, trainer, and coach, and I am on a mission to share insights, fun facts, and inspiration I discover along the way as I run my business and walk my own path on Earth. Here, you'll hear my personal stories, guest interviews, and vulnerable shares from clients and students. Most people know me from Instagram, where you can find me under @CycleSeeds, or they have been a coaching client or student in one of my courses. I'm so grateful you're here. Let's dive into today's episode. Hey, wow. Welcome. Welcome to a new episode of the Inner Rhythms podcast. I haven't been on here so much. I honestly, I didn't feel like it. I was really tired and I didn't feel like I wanted to share. And for the past couple of weeks over Christmas, I've just been doing audiobooks and crochet. That's been my life. Last year, to say that last year was really, really hard is an understatement. And I want to start by saying that I know I was not the only one. I know that many people went through so many intense things. And if that was you, I see you. I hear you. I know it was a rough year, but I also know that you probably worked through a lot. I worked through a lot. And if I just reflect on myself, like the amount of things that I worked through alone, with my partner, with some friends, family dynamics, my own body, like, wow. I know that if your stuff was at the level of my stuff, it was a lot. And I see that and I recognize that. And I really wish that the next year, the next months are going to be much more gentle for you. But something that came through for me yesterday, and I actually wrote this to my partner when I was reflecting on all of the hardships of last year, it's that the place where we rationally think we have no power is actually where we have the most strength. And that's been a huge lesson for me. And this place where we rationally think we have no power, but that is the power where we have the most strength, it's where we are put to learn our lessons. And that's how I prefer to look at my last year, because I don't know any other way to process and to comprehend and to place the intensity of last year. And something that I also really learned is we will continuously be put in the same spot until we learn a lesson. And another thing that came through for me is that we have to understand and honor the soil that we have been planted in. And that seeds, when they are planted, they have no fucking clue. They don't know what is possible when they're planted into the soil, and they just trust and they grow. And they've never done it before, but they do it anyway. And I love this metaphor, and it's been a metaphor that has been so deeply supportive for me. I love nature analogies, and it's been one of the things that helped me to get through the intensity of the past year. I can go a little bit into it. I'm just feeling into, do I want to share that on here? But yeah, I can share about it. Some of the things you already know. If you listen to my podcast or if you follow me on Instagram, You know that I caught typhoid fever at the end of 2024, and this haunted me well into 2025 for the first part. And it was really intense and really rough. And I was like haunted by fevers. Like if I would push myself 1 second too far, I would have a massive fever and like fever attacks. And that faded. And then we got pregnant and we got blessed with this pregnancy. But unfortunately, this is a little bit of a trigger warning for people who have gone through this and maybe don't want to hear it. If you don't want to hear about it, stop listening here or move forward a couple of minutes. But we had to say goodbye to the pregnancy. We lost the pregnancy in March. And a couple of months after that, I felt awful. I felt like the rug was pulled from under me. I didn't recognize myself. I didn't recognize my feelings. And I've been, going up and down. I've had like a lot of tools. Some moments I was like, oh, wow, I'm like out of the depths. And then I would be good for a couple of weeks. And then I would like fall into the pit again. And it was a lot. I'm not going to lie. It was a lot. But then at a certain moment, I was like, I think there is more going on here. And then I discovered that my thyroid was completely out of whack, like really out of whack. And then I was like, oh, maybe this is why my body needs such a long time to fully recover, because my thyroid cannot keep up. And then I started working with an incredible naturopathic doctor specialized in thyroid health. And she helped me organize my diet, my lifestyle, my supplements, everything to support my levels to get within range. And it worked. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I'm able again to focus more on work right now. Because when I was not feeling good and I was struggling with my own stuff, I just need to be in the pit. And there is nothing else that I can focus on. And I can share about it afterwards. And I shared a little bit about it when I was in it, but not the thyroid stuff because it was so immensely intense that I just didn't know how to share about it. I can share about it now because I feel like clarity again, like my brain fog has lifted and I feel more focused. But wow, when I was in the moment, I was like, hell no. Nobody is going to know about this until I've like fully worked through this. And that's what I did. I literally made a decision like, Iris, are you going to go all in on your business or are you going to go all in on your health or are you going to half-ass both? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go all in on my health. I'm going to go all in on my health. And that's what I did. That's all I focused on for a couple of months. And I'm really happy to be able to report that it worked and my levels are within range. And it feels so empowering and so powerful to be able to say, I did that. I supported my body. I navigated my body through healing. And I feel like I want to go all in on my work again and create for you and be with all of you and be in my courses and be there for you and host retreats. And I'm really very much ready for that again. And I'm just really grateful. I also wanted to take a moment to get excited about this upcoming year that is ahead of us. There's a couple of things that I really want to do before I become a mom. And this is something that I do want to focus on this year, but there were like a couple of things, one big thing in particular that I really, 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 really wanted to do before I become a mom, because it's a little bit irresponsible, I feel, to do like when you have children at home, because it's a little bit dangerous. But my sister and I have been talking a lot about how we would love to learn horseback archery. That is exactly what it is you think it is. It is riding a horse without hands while shooting a bow and arrow. I have been wanting to learn this for a very long time. And my dad used to do archery. He was really passionate about it. We had like a whole archery thing in our garden, and he would literally shoot bows and arrows, like shoot an arrow out of a bow in our garden. And he was really passionate about it. He like optimized his bows, built his own bows, and it was just something really cool that my dad did. And also to honor his legacy and to really understand what it means to do archery. I want to learn this skill. So I want to learn the archery in honor of my dad. And I want to, pick up the horse riding again in honor of my grandfather, because when I was 7 years old, he supported me to start riding. And then I had a moment. I think I was 10 or 11. I was 11. I had a little moment with a little Shetland pony. It was the only day that none of my parents were there, actually. There was this really stubborn little Shetland pony that I would ride. Oh, I forgot his name now. Anyway, doesn't matter. I rode this little Shetland pony, and he was just freaking stubborn. And at a certain point, I was riding him, and we were just doing the class. And he decided to go straight instead of going through the little round that all the horses were walking in. And he just went straight to the fence with me on top of him. And that experience just freaked the hell out of me. I was like hanging on the side in my saddle, like still on the horse. Like I bit my lip. Everything was bleeding, my tongue. Like it was really intense. And none of my parents were there. And that's when I stopped riding, and I never ever picked it up again. There was one other time that I was somewhere where people were riding horses, and I, rode a bit. But my goal is to overcome my fear of riding and, getting myself over that traumatic experience of going through the fence with this little Shetland pony and learning how to shoot a bow and arrow. And not really as like a violent thing, like, oh, I want to learn how to shoot. But to me, it's like an ancient skill. And you need like so many different skills in your body that you need. Like you need your vision, you need precise vision, you need precise muscular control to be able to like hold the bow still, and then use your perceptual awareness to be able to estimate like when to shoot, how to shoot, like how to use the bow and arrow. There are so many like body skills that come with it. And then to use your muscles to not fall off of the horse. And it's just, there is so much ancientness around this that I just feel drawn to learn it. And I'm excited. I'm really excited about it. And that's my wish for this year, that I'm going to learn that. My sister and I signed up, so there's probably no way back. And I'm going to learn it. And I'm really, it just lights me up. I'm like smiling super brightly when I'm talking about this, because I'm just really, really excited about it. And then another thing that I really wanted to pick up, it's all about the embodied skills for me this year, is to pick up crochet. and very particularly crochet instead of knitting, because my grandmother taught me how to do crochet. And this is also in honor of her. And I'm in this field with myself where I'm like, I want to honor my ancestors and I want to deepen my relationship with them by honoring skills that they loved. And it even almost makes me emotional when I talk about this, because I am usually someone who gets like easily bored from hobbies. Maybe that's because of my ADHD. I don't know. But with these things, I feel so much devotion and so much dedication because it's about my ancestors and all the people who honed these skills. They're not here in the physical realm anymore. But when I embody those skills, they feel closer to me and I feel closer to them. And it just feels so special and it feels really ancient to me. And it feels like this is the way that humans have done this. Like if they wanted to remember an ancestor, they picked up a skill that the ancestor loved or that the ancestor was good at, or that reminds them of that ancestor. And it's not something that I've read somewhere. It's just something intuitive. And this is another thing that I want to focus on for myself and cultivate within myself, is to really cultivate my intuitive part. And I am a very intuitive person, I would say. But I can also be very logical, very rational, very science. And I feel that I need to immerse myself in my intuitive skill and use my intuition more as a truthful tool to move through life. And I think I'm already pretty good at it, but I also feel that I still use my brain in overdrive. And I noticed that through these embodied skills, the crocheting and being in nature on a horse or shooting a bow and arrow, there is no space for the brain to go into all sorts of thought processes, because there is this embodied skill happening that requires all of my attention. And it just feels really good. I'm just really happy that all of these things are just almost magically, naturally coming to me. That I was literally, one day, I was like, I'm going to do crochet. And I hadn't done crochet in like a million years. And it just dropped into my body. And I was like, okay. And I'm actually making a baby blanket for our future baby. I don't know when they're going to come, but I'm already creating for them. And I feel like my grandmother is with me when I do that. It even makes me emotional now. And the funny thing is that the moment I started doing crochet, my sister also started crochet. We were in a phone call and I was like, oh, when I started, you never guess what I started, crochet. And she was like, what? I also started crochet. And actually, the first evening when I was doing the crochet, and you can do with this whatever you want. It's my truth. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it. But the first night I was doing my crochet, I smelled my grandma. I remember my grandma's smell, and her smell came. And it obviously made me sob. And I don't know how these things work. I don't know, whether the mind kind of like makes it up and then has you smell a memory. I have no clue how it works. I don't care how it works. But in the moment, I smelled my grandma while I was doing the crochet. And it was a really special moment for me. And I just want to have more moments like that, moments that just humble me to my knees, and moments that just make me feel like, wow, I am so grateful that I am alive and I can do these beautiful embodied skills that make me feel peaceful. I think that's one of the most important values that I have for myself as I move forward in my life, not just for this year, but what brings me peace. And I know that the world is in a shit show right now, and a lot of people want peace. And I just want to, constantly ask myself, like, how can I be my own peace, and how can I be peace for the people I love? And then I'm just thinking, like, if everyone did that, we would have peace. Maybe that's too simplified. I don't know. I'm a dreamer. And sometimes maybe I live in a little utopia world in my mind where I think, oh, it's all so easy when everyone is just choosing peace. It's probably not that easy, but I'd love to believe that, with little snippets of humanity like this that I'm sharing with you, maybe it inspires you to be your own peace, be the peace for your children, be the peace for your parents, your beloved. Do with it what you want and use it in your life in a way that makes sense to you. And let this episode be an inspiration for you in whatever way serves you. And I feel that I want to do more of these types of episodes where I just put on the mic and just share what is alive in my life. Because I know that that is what makes you connect to me and maybe to my work. Yeah, behind every business is just a little human being who is also struggling sometimes and wanting peace and wanting to crochet while listening to audiobooks. Yeah, that's another thing I have discovered, and I have put it off for so long. I was like, what is all these people listening to audiobooks? That is not literature, and for literature you have to read. That was me. I studied languages and literature, that's why. In a faraway past, I studied Latin, and then in university I did a year of languages and literature, and I was like deep in it. But yeah, I held it off for so long. I heard all these people like, oh, I'm listening to audiobooks. And I was a bit like, oh, because what? You're too lazy to read. And then over Christmas, actually, that's not true. I listened to an audiobook last year, Hunt, Gather, Parent, because I just liked the way it was narrated. And then I listened to another book series, The House in the Cerulean Sea, part 1 and 2. And also the narration was just so sweet that I was like, okay, maybe audiobooks are nice. And then I was at home and my mom started sharing about this book series again. And she's been talking to me for a couple of years about this book series. It's called The Seven Sisters. And then I was just looking on my audiobook thing and I saw that they had these books on there. And I was like, you know what? I'll have a listen. Y'all, I listened to 2 like 400-500 page books in the 2 weeks of Christmas vacation. I'm on book 3 now. I'm hooked. I'm doing audiobooks, and crochet is my thing. So, yep, I'm hooked and I love it. And I still read like physical, actual books. But for stories, like when it's like a story, it feels so nice to have someone else share the story and then just listen and do my crochet. So that was my little update. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about my life and my embodied skills. Feel free to share what you feel about episodes like this, whether you can relate, whether you want to hear more of these. It's basically just me rambling into them in the microphone, and I love it and I want to do more of it, but I want to hear from you. Do you want to hear it? Do you like these things? If so, I am very happy to ramble more about my life. And I promise I will also make more content podcasts where I speak more about quantum biology, circadian biology, anthropology, fertility, menstrual cycles, cyclical living, all the things. So that's definitely my plan. But I also love the rambly ram episodes like this so that you have a little bit of a peek into my life. So yeah, let me know and I will see you in the next episode. Okay, this wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Want to know more about me? The best way to reach me is via @CycleSeeds on Instagram. And if you heard something today and you think, oh my God, wow, I learned something new, feel free to share the podcast on your social media and tag me. Or leave a review or rating. In this way, you help me reach more people like you. Thank you so much.